Hello and welcome to the YASEcast, back at it again from Yase Tower. This is episode 21. I am Lamo. Joining me today, my very illustrious guests. I'm very happy to see all of you here. I have with me Master Who.
Hello, I'm Master Who.
I have Morgan.
Hi.
I thought you were going to say something.
I know. I'm just wondering what Yase Tower looks like. Like we went over the food trucks and everything. And
Ooh, hold on.
what does
That's
Yase
going to be
Tower
our.
look like?
That's going to be our good checking question. Damn. And we also have Velius with us here today. Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing?
Hi, I'm Velius.
You are. Vince hasn't been on in a while, so I had to do that with somebody. So shit, what does Yase Tower look like? I kind of imagine like the Teen Titans Tower, but it's
I
just a
did
giant
too.
Y.
No, I don't think it's a Y. I think it's like a big Rick Owens.
Damn, that's just a mecha.
I'm imagining like almost like a gargoyles skyscraper,
Oh yes.
but instead of like gargoyles, they're like angels coming out.
Yes,
Ooh,
love
like,
it.
Like, Gargoyles in like the animated series Gargoyles, where there's
Yeah.
like a castle on top of it.
Yeah,
Yo, and then it's
yeah, that's
night.
what pops in my head.
I think Yase
Night
Tower would
angels,
have.
like
I think Yase Tower would have the what's been popular is the lights on like one side of the building, except it's all lined up to look like Rick Owens as a sign of hope in these dark times.
He's watching. He's here to protect you.
What if it was a reverse tower, meaning that it was actually like, hey, it's just like this little shack that you enter that you see, but then like, oh, underneath it, it's this gigantic like underground like bunker cavern shit, and
That's
and
like
it's all
everybody's
and it's just flat
Minecraft
as
house.
hell. Yes, it's everybody's Minecraft house.
where do you live? I live in Minecraft, but in real life. I want to go back to Red's pitch there. I love the idea of like the Gargoyles Tower, but it's angels, and like the night, like the sun sets, and the angels like turn into us.
God, that's such a good idea. I don't know if that's like copywritten to the point where like that's so good we have to take it if we can.
Is
It's
that-
ours now.
I've never actually
That's
watched
so
Gargoyles.
good.
Was that the basis of the show? It was like, oh, at night these gargoyles on a building come to life, and what
Okay,
do they do?
So they fight crime. For
Oh, okay.
the premise,
Did they?
sort of. The premise is like they're cursed to turn to stone until the castle that they're in flies. And then this like eccentric billionaire dude airlifts the castle and puts it on top of his skyscraper, which inadvertently breaks the curse, and they're able. Yeah, it's actually kind of a good show. It's just like very much a product of the '90s
Okay,
and like that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles era of stuff.
that sounds
It's
weird
a rad
as shit,
idea
but you
for a
know, I
show.
can
It's
respect
definitely
it.
weird as shit.
All right.
They have a dog.
Oh hell yeah! What's the dog's name?
I don't remember, but it's a gargoyle dog.
Wait, what does the dog do when they're all like statued up and
The
shit?
dog also turns to stone. The dog is also a gargoyle.
What? Oh my god! It's a gargoyle dog. Fuck. All right, this is a lot of information. We need someone else to talk it so that
its
way
name
I
is
can
Bronx,
I have time
and
to
they're
process.
in New York.
Wait, what's its name?
Bronx.
Bronx.
That's a good name.
That's a good name.
That's perfect. Wow.
That's a great name for a dog. I'm very over seeing people naming their shitty kids like Brooklyn, and probably naming their dogs Brooklyn. But Bronx is an A+ fucking name for a dog.
Naming my kid Long Island. Staten Island.
No,
No, not
not after the
Snowball.
worst parts.
Sorry, kiddo.
Gonna
Gonna have to reclaim this name.
got twins on the way. Gotta call them North and South Dakota.
No, God, don't. I'm sure someone's probably done that. I've met enough people named Dakota.
Northwest, yeah. Sorry.
Velius, I need you to save us. What have you been up to the past week?
I've just been playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and CVS 2, and then Rhett kicked my
Hell
shit
yeah.
in Third Strike yesterday.
So I gotta ask, what is your team in Marvel 2 right now?
So lately, I've been running it's not a comp team whatsoever, but I've been using Cyclops, Cable, and Wolverine, the mutant team.
The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Basically, yeah. I'm morally obligated to use Wolverine in every game that he shows up in because I've got like the body hair I'm half Canadian.
Sure.
I'm a
I was just
massive
going to say he's a
weeb.
lot of fun to play in most games, but that also works too.
I mean, he is fun. I mean, it's definitely a
Yeah.
help. But there's also the fact that I'm like basically, if you had like a much nerdier, much less buff version of Wolverine in real life.
Isn't he also like? Hold on, how tall are you?
Oh, he's short. I'm 6'2".
Okay, yeah. So I was gonna say like, Wolverine's short as hell, but like I've only ever seen you through webcam, and I'm like, you seem to be tall, but like, fuck, I don't know. But
No, I'm 6'2", so it's taller than I think he's like what 5'9", 5'10" or something.
it's like 5-1. Who knows?
In the games, he feels like he's 4'10".
Honestly,
fucking tiny.
I feel like that's probably right. Wolverine.
Imagine seeing this
Wolverine
angry
the
little
manlet.
dude. I can't like imagine in my brain trying to see this like little 4'10" tall angry person just running around. Swiss cheese,
why do you
berserker
think he's so
claw. I can't
angry?
do it.
Because he
He's so
has a
angry.
complex about being short. That's why he's so angry all the time.
Was that what Logan was about?
Yeah.
His origins.
Yes. That's it. Don't ever watch the movie. It was just about Logan was sad about being short, and then he tried to deal with it. That's it. That's the movie.
They call him Wolverine when he should have been Honey Badger.
Oh, yeah, Honey Badger might be scarier. I don't know. That would get the point across, though. Morgan, what have you been up to this past week?
What have I been up to this past week? I started watching the HBO series Spawn, the cartoon from the 90s,
Oh, shit.
and it's a wild trip down nostalgia because like it's weird to watch now and remember that Spawn was like the thing for a while in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like so much that at a time when comic movies and comic properties weren't a huge thing, like HBO greenlit 3 seasons of an animated series for it. And it's weird to look back because it's not particularly great. And all the episodes start with McFarlane. It's McFarlane, right? Oh, God.
Yeah, Todd
I think
McFarlane.
so.
Yeah.
Todd, yeah. It's like doing like this narration that's feels a little bit like Beyond Belief with the guy who plays Riker of like, you ever ridden a bike? Something like that. It's, just, like, it's a very weird, but he's trying like really hard to be like slick and creepy, but it's just not.
Just comes across as like weird, confused dad.
It does actually.
I can't see how that would
I've
lead
never
into like a
seen-
Spawn
You
episode.
ever seen the Yankees play? It's like, are you trying to reconnect with me? Because we haven't talked a lot. Like, I feel like that's where this is going.
And beyond that, I guess the other big adventure is I started watching the original Gundam series movies with my girlfriend, and those hold up surprisingly well for being, I think, older than me.
Hmm.
And I am a young of 31. And it's a interesting. I think a lot of the nuance to that series would have been lost on me as a kid, but watching it now, I'm just like, wow, war is really bad. And like, we're not even an hour into this movie, and this kid has PTSD and is being slapped by his commander to get back in the robot.
Fuck.
And they're openly talking about like, using child soldiers is messed up, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
But who can really say?
Yeah, but who can really say if we're actually, have any kind of moral high ground here? Also, like, young Disaster Shar is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird that American media doesn't really tackle those topics. At least I feel like those movies are really old, and for them to tackle like the war is bad topics from that long ago seems so progressive compared to like American media that's been so stagnant on like war is good, Army Man is good, he's gonna save the day all the time.
Yeah.
Nothing bad ever comes from war.
Yeah.
We're just the heroes all the time.
I didn't make that connection, but like, you're right. And even looking at, I think Spawn is a good contrast because it's so like gritty in its glorification of violence, and it's like kind of trying to be like violence is ultimately bad and like create cycles of mutual destruction, but it just doesn't really ever achieve it. Whereas Gundam is like within 1 hour of that movie, I totally got what they were going for about, people being thrust into situations and struggling with the repercussions of their actions, whereas the Spawn animated series is just like, my wife! I came back to see my wife!
Spawn is the ultimate wife guy.
Absolutely.
Spawn and Dracula for the title of Ultimate Wife Guy.
Todd McFarlane's wife guy.
That would make a great movie. I'm not gonna lie. Spawn and Dracula going
Spawn
at it,
versus Dracula.
just
Oh man.
trying to outlove their wife compared to the other one.
I went to hell for my wife. I also love my wife.
I was gonna say I could immediately. At first, I was imagining this like really kind of low budget ish, like Wolverine versus whoever movies they had like 3 of like a decade ago or so. Then I was like, I could totally imagine like Spawn versus Dracula in that same vein. And then my brain took it one step further, and I was like, I could absolutely imagine Spawn versus Dracula in Sarvet's All Stars or some other like Mugen like compilation. And that'd be kind of fucking sick. It's a Brazilian Spawn with the colors are all fucked up and it looks artifacted to hell, but it has like 23 different infinites and it has like 1,000,000 life. It's impossible to kill.
Oh, that's it for me this week.
Hella.
Yeah.
Rhett, what have you been up to?
I've been on a rhythm game kick. I
Hell
can't stop
yes.
playing rhythm games. So me and the wife, we went back and just popped in every old DDR PS2 game that we just have in our collection. And I'm just living down memory lane and just replaying all the old titles. So today I went to a secondhand shop and picked up some more DDR games that I didn't have in my collection, including DDR Hottest Party 1 and 2 for the Wii, Dance Dance Revolution the reboot for the Wii and PS3.
Wait, is that actually what
and
it was
also-
called?
It was just straight called Dance Dance Revolution. And there's a title on the Wii and a title on the PS3, and they have different song lists as far as I'm concerned. I still have to play them, but I went and bought them today. And boy howdy, going through some of these trash fire DDR games is kind of fun. They have a lot of licensed music, but of course they're all covers of the licensed music.
Oh, no.
And it's really fun to get to go through as a pretty, I would say, hardcore DDR fan. Getting to just experience the kind of decline of the DDR series and just seeing it kind of all tumble down is kind of fun.
That kind of reminds me of like, and I kind of forgot this existed, but hey, even in the same game, vein of rhythm games, how like Guitar Hero 1 and maybe Guitar Hero 2 also did not have like the actual people performing the songs who wrote them. So it was just like all covers, and I kind of completely forgot that existed. So were they mostly just a lot of top 40?
A lot of top 40 and then a lot of bottom 40.
Oh no.
a lot of songs that don't really make sense, like Michael Jackson's Black and White. And then they turn it to like a Eurobeat speedcore mix, and just odd choices like that. Like, what were you thinking making these into licensed dance music? And they have this issue where none of the covers in some of the DDR titles can be good. These have this problem where all the singers sound really bored. They sound really tired. Like they try to crank these out like one after another and like no sleep and just try to just get through the session. We just have one recording session in this booth, so we got to get it done.
We have 12 hours of studio time. Let's crank this shit the fuck out. Let's go.
First take, let's go. No sleep. We're just crank another Red Bull. You're going to have to bump out these songs. So everybody sounds so tired of these mixes. But in the end, it's kind of fun. I'm kind of enjoying just seeing all these like trashy games. And then I get to go back and play like Extreme 1 and Extreme 2 and just remind myself what good DDR games are.
The good old days.
So that's been my current like kick. I was going back and playing some Marvel 2 and Third Strike with Velius. But that's been it for my week. Just on a rhythm game kick. I can't get enough of it.
Quick question, and this actually goes for everybody. Have any of y'all played the? It was on the GameCube. It was like DDR Mario Mix.
I have that coming in the mail right now.
Do
I've
you?
never owned it. Yeah, I always got to play it at a friend's house, but yeah, I bought it
man.
a used copy for like $80 for the game and the mats. So I have that being shipped hopefully by next week. But yeah, I got that coming in.
I'm actually super curious about that, and we will have to do a follow-up. There was also a Disney Poppin' Music game that I have messed around with. I think it was on PS2. I messed around with it a tiny bit. It is all over the place in terms of quality, but I kind of also love it. But
I had no clue that there was a Poppin'. I knew there was the PS1 DDR Disney mix, which rules. That has a banging soundtrack. But I didn't know there was a Poppin' crossover.
Yeah. We will.
That's incredible.
We will each have to go and play them and report back next week. We each have homework then, I guess.
Yeah.
What would be
All right.
Yace poppin'?
Sounds good. What's that?
What would be Yace
Yace
poppin'?
Poppin' would be
Oh, we need more songs.
probably.
we
I don't know.
have our podcast music, but that's not high energy enough for a poppin' music song.
I don't know. Will you guys be okay, like licensing covers of Green Day? Just
Yeah, sure.
get some
good,
Green Day
yeah.
covers.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good. There we go.
We'll just make some. We'll make some. We'll
We'll crank them all out in like 12 hours. Let's go.
I was
Just-
gonna say, we'll just find some like royalty-free music online and just all right. Gonna make a chart based on this
There we
fucking
go.
song. I'm gonna give it some weird ass name. Oh, God.
That'd be a great idea for a game jam. If any of us really wanted to do a game jam someday, that'd be a great idea. Just unlicensed MIDIs or whatever we can find, and just making a music game based off of them. Try and make it work.
Oh man. Ooh, that'd be fun. Let's see. My past week, I have not done too much this past week. I finally finished Mario ROM hack I was playing. Now I'm on to another one. I think I'm finally gonna start playing Control because that game is really cool. But shit, the one thing I've probably been doing the most of the past week, I've been playing a lot of Third Strike. I've been finally getting back into Third Strike again. Me and my Makoto, Karakusa against the world. But goddamn, it's so much fun. I love Makoto so much. She is probably one of my favorite characters in that entire franchise. I think she's just the fucking coolest. She's just the goddamn coolest character. It's like, oh, people throwing fireballs. We got someone who's like a crazy demon man who uses one foot and slides towards people. Crazy Siberian wrestler. Cool. She's angry karate girl, and that fucking rules. That's it. That's her shtick. She's angry. She does karate.
Sold. And then she could get more angry and turn red. And
Yeah.
that's great.
You can get
That's such a...
angrier.
I don't know why there wasn't, like... Before Makoto, I don't know if there was anybody that touched into that market.
Yeah.
It was free real estate.
Yeah.
Anybody could have taken it.
And like it's crazy too because her entire style is literally just like it's literally just karate. It's not like it's based on anything like crazy. It's just fucking karate, man. And it seems like so obvious to do something like that. But man, she's the fucking coolest. She's got the cool moves. If you hit someone with Super Art 1 and they flap in the air and she goes, Seichu's and Goranzuki, and it's like, and the fucking wind is going and shit. It's the coolest. I love Makoto. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
She's a character of love. You can tell that there was like definitely like somebody had this nugget of a good idea and they just perfectly executed
Yes.
exactly like the nugget that they had in their mind.
They had the idea that they wanted to go for, they executed it, and like hell, you can see it in her fucking walk cycle. Like her walk cycle is like a crazy amount of like animation frames, and it's so detailed and fluid. And play Third Strike, y'all. It's a good game.
I got something to show you. I found
Show
this.
me.
I'm moving soon, so I was looking around and I found something that I had printed and bound that has come up on this podcast before.
Oh,
I love the blurry shot of Makoto's face.
I know.
Could you describe to the podcast what you have there?
I also am a big fan of Makoto. So actually, back when I played Street Fighter 4, there were many stretches where I tried to play her, and she was too big for my, at the time, P-brain. But there was a really awesome user document, generated document, on the SRK forums called the Rindokan Bible, which was a very in-depth breakdown of like how to play that character and what she did, and frame data and everything. And at one point, I actually printed and bound it as a reference to go back to and look at, because I really wanted to play that character. And then I went back and played Blanca because he was easier.
Well, God,
But-
I actually never touched Makoto in 4. How is she in 4 compared to like 3S?
A very different character because she doesn't kill you off of one super.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I mean, she's archetypically the same character. And,
Uh-huh.
like, but, you know, emphasis on links makes some things probably a little bit harder. Like, she had some, like, especially, like, a very big thing with her was she has the Rush Punch move. It's not Karakusa. Karakusa's the command grab. Whatever.
I can
it
never
is.
remember.
Yeah, so she has the Rush Punch move, but you can feint it. So there was a thing where you would do close fierce punch, then do the punch, and then feint it. If you got it frame perfect on the hit and the cancel, you could link another fierce. So like fierce feint, fierce was like a big thing with her. So she was
just like Viper. Oh,
damn.
That sounds tough.
Just reminds me of El Fuerte at the Run Stop Fierce.
A lot of characters had that in Street Fighter 4. I know Viper and Forte come to mind. Yeah, I didn't know Makoto had that. I don't think too many people played Makoto in the lifetime of that game.
She's a hard character, and like especially in that game in particular, it's like the emphasis on links, and really having to make these super hard reads on people just made it so hard to succeed with her.
Mm.
And then you have a character that doesn't have a reversal, and like in the direction that Street Fighter 4 went, with like Ibuki and Akuma and all that, and it's like, no.
She was too honest for her own good, I feel like.
Basically. I mean, she could kill you with honesty, but she was still honest.
Yeah.
This is our Makoto fan podcast.
Yes, this is our Makoto fan podcast. Welcome to KarakuCast. Wait, no, that doesn't... KarakusaCast? Yeah, there we go.
I actually
there we go.
KaraCast. There we go. It's not about people named Kara. It's about Karakusa. That bit sucked. I just shouldn't have said anything.
Let's just so we workshop that before the pilot episode of the Makoto fan podcast.
Yeah. We've got time. We've got time. So I know we had a topic for today. Morgan, do you actually, because it was your idea, so credit where credit is due here too. But do you want to introduce to everybody?
So I want to pitch this topic.
Right.
And to the group, we've talked about this beforehand, but like to you, the listener, hi Rockdan.
Hi Roxanne.
There's something that's been kicking around in my brain. It's kind of an extension from the last podcast, all of 2 weeks ago when we last recorded, this idea of like things that are good for you, but like you wouldn't maybe necessarily think are good. And that got me thinking about like what is maybe something that's kind of off the beaten path, or you kind of know is an acquired taste that, how they give the story of like how you came to that, how you discovered it, and why you love it so much. So if y'all don't mind, I want to tell you a story to pitch this topic. It's Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, Anime Central. I am tired, but like can't go back to sleep. So I go down to like the basement floor of the convention center, and there's a panel going on for Japanese B movies. And some of my favorite movies, even to now, I found out about through that panel, with great movies like Battlefield Baseball, like Yakuza Weapon, The Calamari Wrestler, and let's see what else is in there.
I have that one actually.
The Calamari Wrestler is a great movie. Everyone should watch it. But there was one film in it that really stuck with me, and I immediately went and bought it. I think I even bought it in the dealer hall, like right afterwards, and it has been like one of my favorite movies for 10 years, and that's Wild Zero.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck.
I'm writing this down for research.
It's like one of the, like your favorite. It's like these are like some of my closest friends. You guys ever hear like a movie called Wild Zero? Yes, of course you guys have. But so Wild Zero is a weird movie, loosely based on the real band Guitar Wolf, and it is in one part like cultural criticism, one part music movie, and one part zombie movie, and it follows this Bunchh kid, pompadour and motorcycle and all, who's going around, and he is beset upon by zombies. He saves this girl, and it's them trying to like get away from the zombie outbreak. And the story's in parallel with the band Guitar Wolf getting mad at their manager because he doesn't believe in rock and roll anymore. He wants to promote idols. And then the plot lines come together, and there's stuff where like Ace, this Bancho kid, is he'll come across difficult situations, and Guitar Wolf will just like appear to him like a mentor figure, like a ghost.
I wish that happened to me in times of trouble.
If Guitar Wolf were to just show up and tell you like,
yeah,
Lamo, you can do it, rock and roll.
That would be fucking amazing. I'd love that. Shit.
I know.
If only.
And what really sells it for me is that there's actually, on the DVD extras, there's a drinking game for this movie.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
Ooh.
The rules are, whenever a zombie's head explodes, fire shoots out of something, someone combs their hair, or someone says rock and roll, you drink. And it starts you off slow, you get into it, and by the final couple scenes, it's nonstop.
I can only imagine that ramping up. Oh, that'd be fun.
And it queues up, so it starts with drink, 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 but then it's just there's 3 on the 3 shots or 3 of whatever. I don't think you could do it with shots; you would die.
Yeah,
actually.
that sounds like a very bad time.
But you get the idea of you're watching it and there's just zombies exploding and fire shooting out of stuff and people just yelling rock and roll. Guitar Wolf is just playing guitar on top of a building for some reason. And you're just seeing 4, 3, 4, 5 shots just lined up on the bottom of the screen. It's so good. So that's my pitch. And it seems I know at least Lambo's already heard about it. But it's
I watched it a very long time ago and I kind of forgot about it. It's I was super happy to be reminded.
It is an incredible film. If you ever get a chance to watch Wild Zero or listen to the very real band Guitar Wolf, you should check it out.
That sounds like so much fun to watch through. I don't watch enough B movies. And I don't watch enough movies as is. So I wrote Wild Zero down on my notes here so I can come circle on back to that. So maybe me and my wifey can have a little date night. Watch Wild Zero.
That's I should pitch that to my girlfriend. Hey, babe, you want to watch Wild Zero with me? I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but you want to watch Wild Zero?
Yeah.
I think that's the best pitch, honestly.
I can't tell you anything about this movie other than it rules and you should watch it with me. Fuck.
That's a good pitch. You sold me. I'm sold. I need to watch this movie. That sounds like so much fun.
We should do a Yace movie night with Wild Zero.
Absolutely.
God, I would love that. I'm surprised we've not done that yet.
Well, we should let's actually do that then, because
can we actually do that, right? We'll schedule it after the podcast recording. But
yeah,
absolutely.
I thought you were going to say
please,
right now.
I haven't done that with friends. Shut this recording off. Close Audacity.
Fuck this
Go
podcast.
on to Netflix.
So anyway, that was episode 21. Lamo, thank you, Rhett Morgan, and Billy.
I want to talk. My turn. My turn to talk.
Go off, Rhett. Mark.
Hey, everybody.
Yes.
It's Master Who. I'm going to talk about one of my most cherished games that I know is an acquired taste, and it's not super conventional, but I really want to talk about Shenmue. And that's a hot topic with the anime now coming out from Adult Swim and I believe Crunchyroll, that they're co-oping on an anime series, 13 episodes or something like that. So it absolutely has a fan base and it's a well-known thing, and I don't really have to talk much about it, but I just kind of want to gush about how good Shenmue is and how bad it is and how I can look past the bad to love it even more. Because inherently, Shenmue's not, at face value, a very fun game. Going back and playing it is not an extreme amount of fun. You're not sitting there with your hands are sweaty from the controller, from adrenaline rushes, and you're not, even the story just kind of drags along. You're just going through the paces. But something about the vibe of going through everyday life as a person in Japan and getting to know townspeople and getting to fight off gang members, there's just something so genuinely magical about that experience that as a kid I don't know if I appreciated, but growing back to it now and looking at it as a timepiece of that era, and how groundbreaking it was, Shenmue is really good for how much ground it broke. And then Shenmue 2 kind of takes that mold and moves it to China, which that's an incredible setting. Not too many games take place in China, which I adore. I loved getting to see that side. I just really love that series. It's not a great game. The dialogue is stilted. The main character is kind of a dummy. He's really stupid.
We love a good himbo.
He's super himbo. He is not even, I wouldn't even classify him as himbo. He's actually a little lost and kind of needs a friend to help him out and get him through the game, because he definitely wouldn't make it on his own. But I tried selling the series to my wife, and she really doesn't like Shenmue. Which again, I don't blame her, because playing through the game is a really slow-paced drag. It's got stilted dialogue, and it's really not an exciting game to watch. You have to spend like a week and a half on the third disc to play Forklift Man to make enough money to move through the rest of the game.
Oh Lord.
And that's not a joke. It's just, it really is just like you wake up and you have to do forklifting, and you can't progress the story, and you can't do side missions, and you can't do any other fun stuff. You legitimately just gotta wake up and go to work for like a week and a half. And
That sucks. I do that in real life though.
this is what it's imitating, and that's why it's beautiful. It's really, it really is a weird game, because I don't think any game kind of brings in that mundaneness into its gameplay, because nobody else is that stupid to introduce mundaneness into their gameplay. But I kind of love it for that. Something about that's just charming, where no other game has gone and said, hey, you gotta do your day job before you get to have fun, kiddo. Can't play Outrun until you do your forklifting. Or your box lifting in Shenmue 2's case. You gotta lift these boxes before you get to play the game. Sorry, bud. It's how life is. You gotta work hard sometimes. But yeah, I just love me some Shenmue. It's a hard sell.
I was gonna say you made it a very hard sell at the end. I was like, listen, sometimes you gotta do work.
I like suffering. It's something that no other game, like, people talk about like Dark Souls difficulty, and it's like all the games there to make you suffer, but you feel great afterwards. But Shenmue's a different kind of suffering, where you just are sitting there and you're not really sure why. You're just waiting for something to happen, and it's a kind of weird suffering, but you feel great afterwards because you can live to tell the tale. Like, oh yeah, I beat Shenmue, and it sure was an experience that you won't forget. But you want everybody else to feel that pain as well, so you can at least talk to them about it.
That might have been the
That's
most.
interesting.
Might have been the most metal thing ever said. Is I love suffering.
I love suffering.
I don't know of any other game that's so genuinely mundane. I don't know. Is there any other, like, even Animal Crossing has daily events where you get to wake up and you're like, I'm excited to do this Animal Crossing theme. Even though it's mundane, you get some sort of nugget to keep you coming back. Shenmue doesn't really have the nugget. It's just the waking up and like, there's another day.
It has nothing to bring you back.
My dad is still dead.
It has nothing enjoyable about it, and that's why I love it.
It's kind of good for that. I respect it. It was groundbreaking. No other game said, "What if we just didn't make the game fun?"
Game fucking sucked. That was
great.
That was the meeting for.
It was groundbreaking. Nobody else thought of that before Shenmue came out. I love it.
It's like the producers. It's like the plot of the producers, but adapted to a video game. Like, wait a minute, if we make a flop, but then it accidentally becomes super big and super popular when it comes out.
They tried to kill the Dreamcast with it, but it actually like became a staple. This was the bullet in the Dreamcast's head, and the Dreamcast dodged at the last second from Shenmue fans jumping in front of the bullet. We'll take this bullet for you. We love it.
I'm just thinking about the producer.
So that's my pitch. I can't. I don't know if I should recommend Shenmue or not. I just like it. It's a weird game to explain. There's something just, it sits in your heart.
I
think that's why. That's why it's kind of good for this topic, because it's not. I can't say it's great or bad. It just sits in my heart, and it kind of lingers there, and I just think about it sometimes.
All right.
That's beautiful, actually. Like, you could just pitch it that way, and you don't have to tell me anything about, hey, there's work, there's no fun. You just want to, like, spend your off hours basically doing your job?
Sometimes you just want to come home from work and think, man, I want to fucking go back to work. I can't wait to go to my second job.
I got nothing to add to that. It's beautiful. It's perfect.
I love it.
Honestly, you all should just play Yakuza. If you want to play Shenmue, just play Yakuza.
Okay.
It's like if they added the gameplay back into it.
There's definitely... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Morgan.
No, I say, like, wow, so, like, you want to play Shenmue with fun? Play Yakuza.
Play Yakuza.
It really is. It really is.
Like, I can kind of actually appreciate Shenmue on some level, because it isn't like you're saying. It's not like a very action-packed game. It's not as much of like a what we consider a traditional game. In that sense, it's kind of like it can kind of be very zen and like the mundanity and like the banality of it all. So I can actually respect a lot of what Shenmue does. It's not for me. It is not a game for me. I've tried to play it a couple times and I've just accepted that, okay, it's not going to be my thing, which is totally fine. There's a lot of games that a lot of people are going to love that just aren't going to be my thing. Doesn't mean it's good or bad, just means not my thing.
It's definitely not a lot of people's thing. I totally see that, and I think it really is an experience that you have to be ready for.
Yeah.
Kind of like a classic JRPG, like let's say one of the classic Dragon Quests. Like, you know, it's a good series and it's a good game series to go through, but you really have to know in your heart this is something that you want to do. And it might be a lot of grinding and a lot of heartache and a lot of mundaneness, but in the end, you're going to say the journey was worth it. Shenmue's kind of that feeling where, you know, sure, you have to wake up and grind for money and just go to work, but just like a Dragon Quest game, you get through it and then you look back and you're like, wow, that was one of a kind. It wasn't a lot of fun, but it was one of a kind.
I respect it. I respect that a whole lot. Velius, do you want to go next? Or do you want me to go next?
I can go.
All right.
So I think my pick is not exactly unknown, especially since, you know, we all play fighting games, but it's a little bit more off the beaten path, especially since it's old. So I was going to go with Bushido Blade because when I was younger, I played the shit out of that game, and I still have the copy that I first got from back before EB Games was like EB Games. They had like their whole separate, like there was a game store and then there was like a regular electronics boutique thing.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, this is back in the day. So
yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, and they had these super annoying like square stickers that were like completely impossible to take off of your jewel cases, and it pisses me off because it's still on there after like 20 years. But I digress. Anyway, Bushido Blade 1 especially is the one that I wanted to talk about since it is very slow-paced in comparison to basically every other fighting game that's out there. Like, the entire point of it is you take it slow, you make very slow movements that are calculated, and if you use a lighter weapon, then a heavier weapon can actually just straight up interrupt your attack. If you just try to block all the time, then eventually you're going to get left too open, but you also can't not move. So it's entirely in 3D, which for the time that it came out was actually impressive. And you could actually explore the environment that you're fighting in as well. So sometimes you could you could jump and climb up walls to some extent, and then just basically troll your opponent by constantly running away.
So to piggyback on that, because that was actually the things I liked a lot about when I played Bushido Blade when I was younger. It's not just like, oh, you have like the arena you're fighting in, and then you can run around inside of there, which obviously you can do that. You have generally a lot of space there. You can run to other areas. The map, for the most part, is all interconnected. So you could run to like, oh, I'm going to jump down this well, and there's like a little arena down there. Now we're fighting down here, and maybe there was a way out of there. I don't remember, but the fact that it felt like there was a lot of this world to explore in a fighting game was super cool. I loved that.
That's such a cool idea. Where my I'd have to go. I've never played it before, so I'd actually have to go and like look this up. But like, it's coming to my brain, and maybe this is a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing. Is how I felt playing Air Guys.
I was actually going to talk about Air Guys.
God bless the ring.
But that's where my brain kind of went of the idea of having like a 3-dimensional movement and everything, and like how much fun that was to be able to like feel like I was able to explore and move around an arena, like not as expansive as what you guys are talking about, but like I remember just thinking that was like the coolest thing.
And it
God
came
bless
out.
the ring.
It came out. If I remember correctly, it also came out before like Power Stone and a lot of the other, you know, kind of emblematic games that came out after that refined it a lot better. But for me, I always preferred Bushido Blade because the soundtrack slaps. It is absolutely amazing. It's super atmospheric, which is, my entire shtick. And I mean, one thing that I both like and really hate about the first game in particular is that every character can use every weapon that's in the game, but there are character-specific like combos and movements that you can do with each individual weapon. So it makes it like completely pointless to pick any other weapon if you're not playing that character. Like there were I'm
So
really
interesting.
blanking on the guy's name, but basically the white guy who's a thief uses a long sword, and trying to do basically anything else with him handicaps his movement abilities because he gets this exclusive ability where he can like basically double jump backwards and do like a backflip to add to his movement, and then he can come in and do exclusive moves that only he can do with the long sword. And then there's like the main character of the game. His whole thing is using the katana, so he gets a few exclusive moves. And I think he also can use the hammer really well. But it's like, if you have those exclusive movements, there's really no point to picking any other weapon for those characters. Because why would you? You're handicapping yourself for no reason. Especially if you're up against another character who is using that same weapon, and they get to add stuff to their own tool set that you don't get to access. So it's like you're inherently at a disadvantage. They kind of rectified that with Bushido Blade 2, but they kind of went a little bit too far. Like the mistakes that they made with the Bushido Blade 2 was that the graphics were basically the same. They changed the story a lot so that it somehow is even worse. Like they try to add complexity to a very simple, you're trying to escape an assassin's school story. And then they tried to add complexity to it, and it made it really bad and uninteresting. And then the gameplay mechanics, if you like combine Bushido Blade 1 and 2 for me, you'd probably come up with my ideal kind of samurai fighting game, in my opinion. One that is very meticulous and slow and not like anything else that's really out there as far as fighting games are concerned, where you can explore the 3D environment, interact. Like in the first game, if you swung through some of the bamboo trees, you could actually cut them down. So sometimes my brother and we would actually just go around the environment cutting down all the bamboo trees just because we could before we actually started our fight for no reason. But that was something that, I could do in the late 90s that was not a thing that I could do in other fighting games, so why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah, you have that little bit of interactability with with the stage, not even just the other player, which not usually something you get to do. And you know what? That's just fun. Like above all else, it's just fun to cut down the trees. Then you see, I swung my sword, and you can see like where it was cut, and yeah, that shit's just fucking cool. I get that.
And it's a game that is just entrenched in atmosphere, but I can't be like, yo, this is a great like competitive game. It's so fucking deep. It's like, it's not that deep. Like this is probably the only time that you'll ever hear me use the phrase "it ain't that deep," because it's not.
It sounds like a heck of a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a lot of fun to play, and it's great to like whenever you're playing in a actual match. There's no soundtrack. So all you hear is ambient noise running in the background, which adds to the, like you're in a samurai movie feel. Like this is your 1v1 duel. Whoever dies is dead. Like there's no multiple round shit. Like when you get cut, you get cut. That's the end of the story. Like, and you can have damaged limbs. So sometimes you'll take a swipe. You don't kill them, but you take out their kneecap. So then your opponent is just down on one knee, and the only thing that you can do is just be like, come here. Come here, let me slash at you. I'm gonna come forward.
And I think in some cases you have like a lunge too if you have a broken leg or something. But yeah, it's super fucking cool. Like you're really never like out in that game until you're dead, which is kind of like you still have to like respect your opponent to a degree. So I've always really liked that game. I also like too, and forgive me, this is something that you were going to talk about, but something I thought was really cool about Bushido Blade is that if you're playing the single player mode, You actually have to an extent, follow the code of the Bushido if you want to get the good ending. Otherwise, it'll railroad you different tracks. So it's like if your opponent has an intro that you can move around, it's like you don't move, you don't swing your sword, you wait for them to like ready themselves. You don't use any of the things where it's like so you can like crouch down, you can like throw up like sand at your opponent's eyes. You don't do any of that stuff. You never strike them from the back. Like all these cool things that affects like what kind of ending you get and what path you take and who you fight. So like
you can be such a piece
like
of crap.
It's just like really neat. Like you would not expect something like that. It's just
so cool,
right? It's just a weird little touch. And then eventually you fight against a guy who just has a fucking gun. That might have been Bushido Blade 2. I don't remember.
No, that's Bushido Blade 1.
But you're just like,
he's a mini
that's
boss.
in one. Okay, he might even be both. Yeah, but you're like, I'm just gonna fucking stab you. Fuck this guy. At least that's what I always did. Fuck that dude. But yeah, it's a super fucking cool game.
Yeah, and more people should play it if you can manage to either emulate it or somehow get an original copy, which is ridiculously hard to find these days. But just emulate
Probably,
it.
yeah.
Everyone just emulates it.
It's also one of the few games to support being able to link two PS1s together for multiplayer. And the reason why you could, well, I think the reason why is you probably could have the camera focus on your character. But one of the things you could do is you could also have a first-person view while you're doing your sword fighting. And so,
Oh, that's
Whoa.
so cool. Everything
Yeah.
you guys are saying is just like, this sounds like the dopest game.
yeah, there's so much like really weird stuff
There's
in
so
it
much
that like, doesn't make any
content.
fucking sense. But you're also like, yeah, why not? If you're already making this game, if you got this shit greenlight, you're like, you know what, fuck it. You're gonna put this weird shit in. We're gonna put a fucking link two consoles together to play for one of the multiplayer modes. Like, it's super fucking neat. I like it a lot. It's one of those games where
sounds so
and
good.
this perfectly fits the bill. It's not something that I think a lot of people may end up really enjoying, but it's something super cool, and people should be, at the absolute minimum, should be aware of it.
And even in 2020,
I'm now
there's
aware.
still-
It's on my
there's still
radar.
Nothing else like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that try to be too competitive or too, I don't know, too streamlined. This seems like they just broke the mold on a lot of stuff, especially the PS1 of all the systems. Like, this sounds like all the features that would be in a PS2 title, not a PS1, where they have to manage not only the modeling and the rigging and the skeletons and the mocap and the all this stuff, but then they go on and be like interactive arenas and interactive limbs where you can get your limbs chopped. In a PS1 game, that's incredible. I'm impressed.
Is there anything else you want to add for Bushido Blade?
No, that's it for me.
Or can I hop in?
Hop
All
in,
right.
Lamo.
All right, so listen, now this is going to be a hard sell for the wrong reasons, or maybe for the right reasons. I'll let you decide. The thing that I really wanted to bring up as something that, as my listen, just give it a shot. It's a game on Steam called Honey Pop. I'm thinking, Lamo, I think I've heard of that one before. You have. Honey Pop is an eroge on Steam. It is. But that's not why I really enjoy it. I enjoy it because it's quite possibly one of the best match 3 puzzle games that I've ever played.
What?
It's one of the most enjoyable match 3 games. I really do enjoy a lot of puzzle games. I find them very relaxing. I find it's just enough. I don't have to play something that's going to be very challenging, but something that provides just enough like mental stimulation that makes you think about, okay, well, what's my strategy here? What am I going to be doing? Without necessarily having the stress of being in a fighting game where I have to worry very much about time and how much time is left and what my opponent is doing. And so a lot of puzzle games, and specifically match 3s, have found to be like, they perfectly scratch that itch. So I've actually played quite a bit of Puzzle Quest. I've played a decent amount of Candy Crush. But Honey Pop's kind of become like my go-to in a lot of ways. And so every couple months I'll boot it up and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start a new save file. I'll go through from scratch and I'll redo everything. Which is really weird. And a lot of times I'm like, I don't want people to know on Steam that I'm playing Honey Pop right now. So I'm just going to sign out of like Steam friends or make myself invisible so no one sees that I'm in the middle of playing Honey Pop. I don't have to have any weird Steam conversations with people. But
I swear, I'm
it's
just puzzling
pretty-
over here.
it's pretty
Just
whatever.
puzzling.
Yeah, the idea is that every time you take a girl on a date, it is a puzzle game where you're constantly trying to match the right color that corresponds to what the things are, the character traits that they like, and then avoiding the ones that they don't like. Then it tosses in items where it's like, hey, maybe we'll get rid of all of these tokens and then replace them with this, or it'll increase the spawn rate of these types of special tokens and stuff like that. And so eventually you're trying to strategize on, okay, what gifts and what items do I bring on the state with this particular person to try and maximize the chances that I'm going to get through and get, end up winning instead of them getting mad at me and then have to do the date all over again. And then you throw out a goldfish when you're outside, and then you meet a cat girl and she comes up, and then if you go to the beach at a certain hour, you meet an alien girl.
No way.
That's besides the point. That's besides the point.
Okay.
I've really found myself enjoying a lot of these match 3 games, and it really is worth a shot. Do yourself a favor if you want to be like me and just maybe make yourself invisible on Steam Friends, but it doesn't do anything new, and that's one of the things I feel like it's kind of a hard sell. It doesn't do anything particularly new or groundbreaking unless you're talking about tying it to an eroge, which is fine, whatever. But it does do everything like pretty well, and I really like it, and it's super good. Like it's just a very good match 3, and I think there might even just be like a hey, don't show me sex stuff mode if you don't want to watch that, which you're not missing out, buddy. Let me tell you. But yeah, there's there's absolutely a stigma of hey, it's like, oh no, I'm just reading this for the articles. I didn't pick up this girly mag to get for the pictures. Oh no. I just really like reading whatever the fucking articles are. Ask whoever.
Did that happen that happened in the FGC with Playboy, didn't it? Like, didn't somebody get interviewed into Playboy? And like, I remember that going around for a little bit. That I think people were trying to buy Playboy because like some FGC player got. Who was that? Oh.
Holy
why am I thinking
shit.
about this?
So who's going to be the person to Google FGC Playboy?
I'll do it.
I don't know. I feel it
Incognito.
though of the dynamic of like, oh man, I really am here for the articles, because like I always wonder.
Oh
who are the
no!
people... Is it Kutex?
Was it?
Do I want to know?
Hold on a second. I need to make sure this is the player that I'm thinking of. It's someone who is very canceled.
Oh no!
Maybe I have the wrong thing. I hope I'm wrong.
Who is it?
It's Kuroda.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's extremely canceled.
I think that's who it was. That
Kuroda
rings a
was
bell.
interviewed by Playboy?
I didn't connect.
Hold on.
I
think it's a magazine in Japan called something Weekly Playboy. It's not Playboy.
Okay. Woo.
What?
Okay.
What was I thinking about?
I don't
know what
know.
I'm thinking about.
Man.
Anyway.
Okay, well, I guess we'll make this reality then. We'll make the articles.
Kuroda's still canceled. But the,
Yes.
extremely.
There was an interview with Ricky Ortiz about being transgender in the FGC.
Oh, she's not canceled. That's fine.
She's not canceled. We're good. Victory. Yes. We're back at it, gamers. All right.
Back at it. All right.
We did it, gamers. But I ended up like being there for the articles. I always wonder who are the people that bought Fate Stay Night expecting it to be an eroge and then just got like bombarded with dozens of hours of Artorian lore.
It's actually kind of funny. Like,
This-
Lima, like, it's actually kind of funny that you brought up like an eroge, because one of my favorite VNs is Kimi to Kanojo to Kanoko no Koi, which is like 100% like eroge, but it also gives you this fun little fucked up narrative along with it that kind of like, it's something that is also intensely critical of eroge in general. So it has like a kind of weird narrative where it's like, as you're playing it, it's like the so if you don't know, it's the one that basically got compared a lot to Doki Doki Literature Club, in that it fucks around with like your save states and like will delete your delete your data, and then you come back in, and like the game is completely different. And then you have to like replay it. Like basically, one of the characters is like kind of controlling your fate in it, and everything.
Dang.
Kind of experiences. Yeah.
I love that.
So it's
by the way, like,
yeah.
oh,
So it's like it's an eroge, but it also has like legitimate social criticism in it, which is weird and not something that I was really expecting from it. But it's also something that
kind of reminds me of like
I go invisible when I read that as well.
That's something too, and kind of going off on a side thing, but games that kind of break the fourth wall to interact with you are always super cool. I mean, obviously, Eternal Darkness in the GameCube is something that's been praised a whole lot for doing that exact same thing too. Which, God, I fucking love that so much. The fact that was like 2000, 2001 or some shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's been a long time.
So fucking cool. They're like, hey, what if we just really fuck with the player? Make it seem like the game restarted. Just start turning down like the brightness on things or the volume on things. Oh,
I love that.
what a cool
I kind of
fucking
hate that I
game.
found out about the game in the internet era, though, because now it kind of loses the like impact of that happening now. And I had to go back and go play it, and it was like, yeah, I kind of expect that this is going to happen. I've seen the stuff on a YouTube compilation or whatever, but at the time, holy cow, like that's so clever. And I feel like developers, especially indie developers, love doing that now, where they kind of fuck with the game, the save states, the menus, that's such a fun like medium to work inside, is the actual development of your game being manipulated by the game developer itself. That's so interesting. I could fall for that a million times. That will never get old to me.
Same. Well, I think that just about wraps it up for us tonight. I'm glad we kind of I'm glad we got a chance to gush about things that we might not ordinarily get a chance to really gush about. So thank you, Morgan, for the A+ topic. And thank you to everyone for joining me today. Had an absolute blast.
Aww.
Rhett, where can the people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Master Hooligans. That's WHO Ligans. On Twitch at Master Hooligans, excuse me, and YouTube at Rhett's Play.
Morgan?
That's a hard question because I might not go back to Twitter.
Oh, that's right.
My mental health has been so much better.
Hell yeah.
I am living life and actually like enjoying it. So I do have a Twitter that's deactivated. It's Fog_E. I have a Twitch at the same, but I haven't streamed or used socials for a while. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm kind of feeling like there are a couple people I only interact with through Twitter. So like I might go make like another account and keep it like on the DL or something, but I don't know. In the meantime, if you etch the symbol of the Zodiac Leo into a candle, it will burn with the brightest flame. And if you stare deeply into it, I will look back at you.
That is a lame-o answer, and I fucking love it. Velius, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at _Velius. You can also find me blogging at realbattleonfilm.wordpress.com.
And you can find me, Lamo, on Twitter at Lamo_SD. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Lamo, no dash in there or anything. Where shit, after all this Eternal Darkness talk, maybe I'll start streaming that soon. I've actually never played that all the way through, so maybe now's the time to do it. Who knows? I want to thank
spooky
you,
season,
our beautiful and lovely listener, for joining us for episode 21 of the YASEcast. We'll be back next week. Fall is coming, so I can't tell you to buy a Yase Angels tank anymore.
But I will tell you to buy a Yase Angels tank.
Hell yes, that's what I'm talking about. You can layer that shit. You got layers? Work that fucking thing. All right, y'all. I love you. I will see you next week. Thank you for joining us again. Bye-bye.
the alley oop